This story starts with me as a kid surfing the web. I always scoured the internet for a bunch of random music files to throw at my friends to discuss and pick apart. Then I came across Vocaloid, and that became a weird core part of my life. Always seeing people make funny little songs with these vocal synths was super infatuating to me, and the most craziest thing for me at the time was the stories that the people could make with them. My friends know this, but the first introduction to any type of storytelling via Vocaloid was the Darkwood Circus. There's a reason why I'm scared of creepy circuses, but besides that, there was this one that mostly eluded me due to me being arrogant to what was being shown to me, and also a part of me being an absolute dummy. And that one series is why I'm here. I'm, of course, talking about Kagero Project. Kagepro as a medium never showed up to me while growing up. For some reason, it was all a bunch of whispers in the void with all the people I was hanging around at the time. I saw Days when it came out and it was the coolest shit ever. And then my ass went to do the mundane, boring stuff of making silly mashups, and then time did its thing, I kinda forgot about it, and moved on with my life. That's it. The end. Thanks for watching. I'm kidding, I wouldn't be here if I was just that oblivious. So, the question that probably eludes you and my friends is, why? Why Kagepro? And why now? Well, if I'm going to be entirely honest with you, it's because of the music and specifically it being multimedia. I grew up on Touhou and its massively multimedia-ness, so I thought after rewatching Days and discovering there was covers including one done by Otto, I finally decided to take the plunge and see what this Kagepro thing was all about. But before jumping off that bridge to enter the Kagero days, I knew that I needed a guiding hand because if I just went into the songs, I would have been the lost woods, so thankfully for me, I met some people who were excited to help aid me in this journey. So if there's anyone I should be thanking right now for this dumb journey I went through for the past couple of months, thank you Shantaro and Danny Opal for shoving me off this building and delving into what started this whole project. The music. God, where do I start with the music? I decided to watch them in story order, which did help in many ways for understanding the story. It was all normal for me being like, okay, I can see what's going on. Some weird things going on with Red Eyes and I think a time loop? So, pretty basic. Oh my god, what is going on here? After that initial shock, the early music is one hell of a vibe for me. The unfortunate aesthetic of the early 2010 YouTube compression with all of this 480 glory caused me to get nostalgic for some of these songs that were super fun to enjoy. From the way Ia was tuned, the way Jin played his guitar, and then the rest of his instruments sounding super Touhou-esque, each song with a fan MV was a treat to listen to, and shockingly enough, there were a few songs that I remembered watching way back then. I knew of Days and Lost Time Memory, obviously, but when I saw Mekakushi Code, it just made me really confusedly nostalgic, like the back of my brain was yelling at me, telling me I've seen this before. But right now, the story that was being fed to me in these songs were amazing. There were songs that made me feel sad, like Transparent Answer, with a bass and guitar riff holding that melancholic beat that ties so well with the lyrics, and hold on. Why does this girl look familiar to me? Anyways, after that song, I got to experience more settings with Gunjo Rain, experience Peak with Night Tales Deceive, and revisiting Lost Time Memory. Then I got to experience Aino's Happiness Theory and... This girl's gonna ruin me, is she? So, after that emotional break and experiencing the songs and story more with Outer Science showing off a new Ia voice bank, Summertime Record pulling a constant companion, Out Now, Go Bye, and also revisiting Days again, everything felt so comfy for me. The songs were checking all of my boxes, the story it was telling me was keeping me entranced and guessing. But the one thing that kept on nagging me was Ayano. Why was she so familiar to me? It's like I knew her before, but from somewhere else entirely. Then I saw this. Now, of course I know what Additional Memory was. I've watched it when it came out. It was huge in the Vocaloid space. Hell, it earned the title of Vocaloid Myth because it's that popular. The thing that made my jaw drop in surprise and made me feel so stupid is that my ass thought at the time that Ayano was a Miku Sona. Now let me explain my reasoning. So, when I first saw this, having zero idea what Kagepro was and not looking at the description, which honestly, if I did that, it would have made more sense who Ayano was, I was thinking, okay, many people do give Miku different designs for their MVs to tell their stories, but this one is taking creative liberties with Miku, making her hair different and turning her ponytails into a red scarf, red eyes, making a total color swap for her, and yeah, my bird brain ass is not beating the bird brain allegations. You can make fun of me later, but right now, this bilious baby brain babble the Ben is beak, I'm a freak, just got done watching fireworks in the summer end, and boy did I tear up. It felt like it was telling me, hey, thanks for listening to this crazy little story I wanted to tell through a medium I love. So before going on to the next stop of my Kagepro journey, which was the light novels, I had to go rant about Kagepro to my other friends about this man named Jin making a story through music and my crazy theories of what's going on, and then one of them just said, oh, Jin from Daruma family? And my convoluted amalgamated mind couldn't handle that statement. You mean to say Jin was a part of a Toho circle, then did Vocaloid? And sure enough, checking his Nico Nico account, yeah, it checks out. He was a part of my favorite Toho circle back in the day. Which, if anyone is curious about, like, this circle, ever since they disbanded, all of their CDs and songs are, like, over $100 if you try to find them anywhere because, you know, they don't do stuff anymore. So after that revelation and coming down off of the ecstasy of the music, my next steps were to experience the novels. Since this achromatic twisted aeronaut got to see the baseline of the story via the music, I was curious to see how the story was going to be done in a written narrative. So with me sitting in the most uncomfortable chair and all the novels at hand, I began my journey of reading the Kagero Days.
Go on.
I genuinely don't know how to describe what it was like sitting in the most uncomfortable chair while reading these novels. For the people who have already read the novels, you might know what I'm about to say, but for my friends who haven't read this, hi Kay, let me tell you something about these novels. These goddamn novels are the greatest thing I have read in a hot minute. I don't normally read for fun since I read manuals and look at letters almost every day. So when starting to read these, seeing how these characters get to shine through with how Jin writes was the most greatest thing I got to experience in a long while. The first novel made me laugh in confusion, seeing how Shin acted as a person with all of his he's an 18-year-old, neat, virgin. The second one with the whole school festival unraveling the mystery who was Ian, and her having a resemblance of Miku more than Ayano. I still can't get over the fact how I thought she was a Miku. Then laughing harder during the amusement park scene. Then the wacky woohoo fun adventures with Hibiya and Hiyori in 3. The goddamn emotional ramp up with Azami in 4. Then the depression hitting with Shuya in 5. Then Haruka's backstory in 6 and everything just afterwards. This goddamn lighter won't light. If I'm gonna be completely honest, this cast of characters is probably the fastest crew I have ever gotten attached to. Halfway through reading the 6th novel, I immediately broke my rule of sequencing media and just started watching the anime and also reading the manga, just to see how derivative all of these routes that Jin made in what seems to be such a hellish schedule, and also living in his office at some point. Like, holy hell, Jin, what is up with you? But when I finally got towards the end of the novel, I cried hard, which is something I didn't expect at all for me to do, because the last time I ever bawled like that was for the end of The Man Who Erased His Name, which had over 7 years of buildup that I got to experience. But this series, this cast of people written by one person with editors, made me care and cry for these characters in under 2 weeks of knowing them. Then when the manga and anime all wrapped for me, I was hungry for more. And reading that Jin wanted to make a new story in this whole entire universe at the end of the novel, I was hyped. I've just experienced Peak, and now he's making more Peak? I need to know where I could find it. I haven't seen anyone talk about it, so I'm gonna do my own digging and see where I can find it. And oh, copyright issues. Oh, copyright issues. So, because of this, there's no new media for me to experience, and because of that copyright, it'll be unknown when there'll be a new Kagepro related project ever. I really wanted to experience more of the story. The music, the characters, everything was so up my alley that I got caught up in what Jin was making, that I completely forgot the one rule that every piece of media has taught me. Everything ends, either naturally or abruptly. Well, I guess this is it for now, since Kagepro's in copyright hell. Goodbye for now, Kagero Project. You were one of the greatest pieces of multimedia I ever got to explore. Maybe someday, but for now, I pray to see you again.
Starlight, say goodnight.
But I didn't want my journey to end there. No, because there was one thing I wanted to explore more than any of the official works. Something that has more heart put into it, more expression, and definitely more passion into it. Something that I knew exploring would have made me love this series more than ever. And that thing is you, the community. For me, it's always important that whenever I explore a medium, no matter how big or small the IP is, I always want to see what the community is up to. Because no matter what the creators are doing, whether needing to sell out due to the need for appeasing shareholders above, or if the IP is just laying dormant for what seems to be forever, the people who are keeping that heart beating, that soul radiant, doing a dance so delightful that it makes people curious to see what this thing is all about, is the community. Talking to the few I did, hearing them being so warm and passionate for this project, while seeing all of these fan works was astonishing for me. From being at awe looking at these zines that people are putting together, or seeing a reanimation, these silly little memes, to even this con. It's genuinely insane how such a small community can get together on a special day for them and put on something so wonderful as this. It genuinely reminds me how I got my start and stuff way back in the day. Just friends hanging out, meeting new people, making silly projects that became something beautiful. So, if there's any message that I want to leave off on, it would be this. Keep on creating. Keep on yapping. Keep on making silly little memes. Keep showing your love for this project. Because if all it took for this grease spill and a bad time to get into and fall in love with Kagero Project was by watching a Days cover made by friends, then I'm sure many more will be interested as well. This has been Lounge. Have a happy August 15th, and let's meet back again. Shall we?
Welcome to the fiction. We hide here every evening with plenty of exuberance and voices for the voiceless. But if I look out on the floor, is there room for any more? I'm a buzzkill and a bore, I'm not the person this is for. But I'm tired of civil war, my spirit is screaming out for more. It's all just too much to ignore, that I could be something more.